So I'm going to start this episode on a bit of a positive. It's a radical idea, I know. Some sort of kudos are in order for Senators Susan Collins, Pat Toomey, Marco Rubio, and as well as U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley condemns alleged abuse, killings of gay men in Chechnya.
Now, if you remember, I mentioned this on an episode about 2 weeks ago. From what I can gather, it is still occurring. What's important to note that all four individuals are Republicans, so some progress is being made. While there may be a political motive behind the condemnations, and I would not be surprised if there wasn't, they should be accepted at face value. And I think it's important to do so, as on the surface it will hopefully, maybe, kinda, sorta, eliminate some of the divisiveness in our political system. At its least, it will give us a common rallying cry. So we'll give a round of applause for them. I wanted to include this story in my last segment, but I ran out of time, both literally and figuratively. What else is new?
San Antonio mayor suggests broken people without God cause poverty.
Although it did have some traction in the news, it seemed that after a day or two, interest in what the mayor said kind of waned. To me, that's a bit bothersome. Quote, "Since you're with the Christian Coalition, I'll go ahead and put it out there that to me it's broken people. People not being in a relationship with their Creator and therefore not being in a good relationship with their families and communities and not being productive members of society." End quote. While the garbage spewing against atheism is troublesome, saying that the poor are, quote, not being productive members of society, end quote, is downright scary. Yes, I am poor. Yes, I am an atheist. But the two have absolutely nothing to do with each other. My being poor has to do with the stock market crashing in 1988, and I never recovered financially. It has to do with getting ill and not being able to work for 3 years. It has to do with the economic downturn we all faced. It has to do with the geographics of where I live, and a whole bunch of other issues. Instead of wondering why God was punishing me, I basically have plodded along as best as I could, taking whatever job that would support my ass. Sometimes working 3 part-time positions to do so. Finally, after 25 years of working 2 or 3 jobs, it got to be too much. So, in some regards, if you want to look at it technically, I'm poor by choice. Although our politicians and corporate leaders have made it such by keeping wages so low and slashing social safety net programs. That does not, however, make me a non-productive member of society. My job does not define me, and it should not define anyone else. My atheism does not define me. It's just a lack of or disbelief in God or gods. What defines me, I hope, as a person is how I treat others. Now, we could go on about this topic for hours, so I will leave it at that. What I love about this story is the FFRF's response. It was quick and decisive. In their written response, they wrote, quote, "The correlation between lower religiosity and higher societal well-being is not limited to an international analysis. This trend also exists within the United States. Those states that are most religious also have a high occurrence of societal ills. The most religious states in the nation tend to have the highest rates of poverty, obesity, infant mortality, sexually transmitted diseases, teen pregnancy, murder, and violent crime. Then Taylor acts as if declaring herself a member of the Christian majority and denigrating an unpopular minority somehow requires a measure of courage. I'll go ahead and put it out there. It would require far more courage to stand up for that unpopular minority. Parading membership in the religious majority is popular. That's why it's called pandering. End quote. FFRF were not the only secular group to respond. This from Foundation Beyond Belief, South Texas Atheists for Reason, or STAR. Quote, "Some people have a misconception that good works have to be tied to religion, but that's obviously false," said Vicki Getman, Executive Director of STAR. "We are hoping Mayor Taylor will come out and see the great work her atheist constituents are doing to contribute to the community." Fasciani also notes in his article, quote, "STAR is one of 125 groups nationally that participate in Beyond Belief Network, the volunteer arm of FBB. Other FBB projects include a charitable giving program that doled out more than $2 million in grants to organizations working on poverty, health, education, human rights, and the natural world. The nonprofit also participates in international service through its Humanist Service Corps and responds to disasters via the Humanist Disaster Recovery Program." End quote. On a personal note, I'm very, very well aware of the generosity of the atheist community, as I was a recipient of said 2 years ago. So, immediately prior, we had Foundation Beyond Belief. The following are just stupids beyond belief.
Woman spars with DMV over Trump hat license photo.
I think I'm nominating this one for Twat of the Week. The gist: a supporter of President Donald Trump got her driver's license picture taken while wearing a Make America Great Again hat. Now, the state may make her take the photograph again, but without the hat. According to Cheryl Hall, as noted in the Fox 35 report, she's the victim. Quote, "I said, why do I have to take my hat off when I see a young lady over there with a veil covering around her face? I didn't understand that. So she said to me," referring to the DMV officer, "that's her religion." I said, "If that's her religion, this is my religion." DMV person replies, "Well, we do have regulations with the statutes." End quote. So the photo was taken with her hat on, as she was claiming religious belief. But in alternative events, quoting again, Jordan, who is the DMV officer, now says his superiors in Tallahassee have told him that they are reviewing their policy and the decision to allow Hall to take the picture with the hat. According to Jordan, the state is in the process of sending Hall a letter explaining that she will have to retake the picture. End quote. As Reverb states, quote, "Yes, the woman has embraced Trump to the point that she feels her religious liberties are violated if she's asked to remove her hat. She equated her cheap red hat, made in either China, Vietnam, or Bangladesh, and given out at campaign rallies, to a religious garment." Last but not least, for this segment, Ken Ham bitches because that's all he knows how to do.
creationist complains because Christian school only promotes creationism, not young earth creationism.
This is from MacLeod, and it's concerning Bryan College and basically their statement of faith, which says, quote, "We believe that all humanity is descended from Adam and Eve. They are historical persons created by God in a special formative act and not from previously existing life forms." Hammett goes on to say, "In other words, you had to be a creationist. No room for theistic evolution, much less how it actually happened. Last week, the school's Board of Trustees approved the revised statement, a decision that could result in the exodus of several faculty members." Well, Ken Ham is not satisfied because the school isn't promoting young earth creationism, just run-of-the-mill creationism. He's upset because the bullshit has a slightly sweeter stench than he prefers. Further along, Hammett puts, he's seriously using the argument that the Bible is true because the Bible says it's true. That's not just a joke atheists make about fundamentals. He's actually doing it. End quote. On numerous occasions, and this is a point that I will continue to rail on till my last breath, this whole young earth creationism, teaching in schools, that whole shebang is all about manipulation and control. Without Genesis, the creation narrative, there is no Christ, and that becomes just another myth. The authority of the Bible becomes nil. That's what Ham is bitching about. So till next time, peace out.